have any objective. I didn't have a reason beyond, I had just kind of started a business and it ended up being really popular. But the problem when you don't have a vision is that when things get tough, the waters get choppy, how are you anchoring the ship in? How are you deciding what direction to go to? And for me, it was kind of like, oh, I guess the business has to close.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the I Didn't Read Your Book podcast. I am your host, Lutch, and today we are going to be talking with Ivory Coates about his or her book, A Tenacious Spirit.
I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years, and there was a period in my early 20s where, like many, I started things, but I didn't complete them. And it perplexed me because all of my teenage years, I was actually a very rather accomplished person. And in the sense that I completed what I started, and I didn't understand what was shifting that all of a sudden now I can't finish a thing or I'm losing interest. I don't think anybody goes into any new project thinking I'm never going to complete this, right? You go in, you're like pumped and you're like, oh, whatever it takes, I'll do whatever it takes. Then there's something that's happening in that journey. You're not as pumped as you were in the beginning. Something is happening to all of us that don't complete our goals. And I really became very obsessed with that. I actually found a study that Harvard did on this very topic. And one of the most important things that came out of that was they had about 30 people try to accomplish a goal. Out of that 30, only 3 actually did it. Oh, wow. And they didn't go through what the goal, what the thing was, but the key difference that they found was that for the 3 that completed it, they focused on the process while everybody else focused on the objective. And it seems like not a big difference, but it is because 1, the numbers are showing it's a big difference. But 2, it's interesting how just a subtle mindset shift can take you from being so focused on your objective that you miss the process. And the process, there's always a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what I always say is motivation gets you going, but it takes tenacity to get you there. Because motivation will wane. It's just inevitable. It's going to wane. There's going to be a point where if you hate your boss, it's, maybe they reamed you out about something and you're like, I hate it here. I want to go somewhere else. I don't care. I'll figure out how to pay my bills. You feel like you're going to figure it out. But the truth of the matter is you're not always going to feel that pain point. There's going to be a point in the journey if you decide to go on a different endeavor, if you decide to start a business, which is usually what a lot of people almost kind of default to now. There's an exciting part of building a business, and then there are very boring and hard parts about building a business. And that's where your resolve is tested. And so a tenacious spirit is to actually create that shift so that people are focusing on making sure they're creating a mindset that is tenacious. That's almost, when I think about tenacity, I think about stubborn. I think about a very stubborn person. Like we all know somebody that we're like, bruh, give it up. But they're tenacious. They are not going to give up on that thing. They're like, I don't care how many no's I get or whatever happens. I am going to keep pushing through. And that is what you need in entrepreneurship if you really want to see success.
So sorry to interrupt your podcast experience. I just want to remind you, if you're enjoying what you're watching, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And if you really love it, there's some support links in the description. I would love if you could help out the channel. And back to the show. How did you get started? What was your first business?
Yeah. So my first business I kind of fell into, I was in my early 20s, guys, and I was 21 actually. And I was dating a DJ that had offhandedly mentioned, yeah, we used to do these cruises every year. We're really fun. Everybody come out, we jam out, like, on Carnival, any of the big guys. And I was like, man, that sounds like fun. Y'all don't do them no more. The long story short was I ended up putting together a cruise. And the DJ, obviously, I was like, yeah, hey, come DJ, you'll DJ the cruise. I'll organize everything. And it was actually rather easy to bring together. In my mind, nobody knows me. So I'm not really expecting a huge following. Of course, I expected some of these people to come, but sometimes your lack of knowledge works in your favor, you know, like,
Yeah.
so I had anticipated 50 people. I ended up getting 200.
Oh, wow.
And I got more money in the few months it took me to plan that than I had gotten any summer job or anything I had done. And that was my first taste at entrepreneurship. And I just said, baby, if this is entrepreneurship, I can do this.
Let's do this. Exactly. Very cool. Very cool. And so you just, you were off to the races. So,
and I was off to the races. So that business did really well. But one of the things that I go through in the book, and I acknowledge, is that I didn't have any objective. I didn't have a reason beyond, I had just kind of started a business and it ended up being really popular. And I ended up doing a lot of other trips that did really well. But the problem when you don't have a vision is that when things get tough, the waters get choppy. How are you anchoring the ship in? How are you deciding what direction to go to? And for me, it was kind of like, well, I guess the business has to close because I'm the leader of the ship, right? I'm the captain of the boat. And so I didn't have a vision. And that's why that's one of the first things we go through in the book is the importance of vision, and actually not only having vision, but having clarity in your vision. Is both of those components are essential to really creating a business that's going to take care of you and maybe generations and generations of your family.